Hello there,
Hello there.
and welcome to What If Qui-Gon Didn't Die? My name's Jamie,
And my name's Shaun.
and we love talking about Star Wars.
Star Warsios.
It's Star Wars! And we like to ask different sort of what-if questions, explore different scenarios, and put a bit of spin on with our own head canon.
I was going to say, our own headcanon, we like to discuss what would happen if certain things, changed in the timeline, alternative theories. Sometimes we even do blind rankings or just talk about various, like last week, we talked about the ships we liked.
Yeah, that's it.
I say last week, the last episode that we listened to before recording this was about what ships we liked, force powers, all these sorts of things. But this week we're going to discuss what if Order 66 failed.
Yes.
But there's a point we're going to go on from here, and are we going to talk about? So Palpatine gives the order.
Yes.
And it comes up on all the little Clones Hollow displays.
That's
and
right,
obviously across the entire Empire, he's issued Order 66 with his hood up, and nobody's gone, that's Shiv Palpatine's chin. And then of course the fallout from that is that it doesn't work.
Yes.
So what are we saying? The clones have got the chips in their heads.
I think there are two ways to look at this.
Yeah.
The first way is the order is issued, but it doesn't get to the clones because the chip fails or it doesn't register as being an order. The
Yes.
clones look at each other and go, what does this even mean?
Yeah, what's this hologram on about?
Who's that? That's weird.
Yeah.
And then perhaps the Jedi see that and go off from there. Or, second scenario, the order executes successfully,
Yeah.
but the Jedi are then able to defend themselves and defeat the clones in some way, either in combat, which would be unlikely because the numbers of clones would be ridiculous,
Yeah.
or a counter order or a reset. Maybe there's a Jedi ends up going to Geonosis and there is a master switch somewhere that'll just deactivate all the clones.
That's a good shout. Yeah, that's a well good shout. Because what we got to break away from here is the Bad Batch, and we've spoken a bit about this before today in our admin session. The Bad Batch, because they were defective clones, their chips didn't work that well.
That's right.
So obviously Crosshair's chip kind of worked, but the others, they were able to fight it off. A bit like Captain Rex. Well, I mean, Ahsoka was able to fix Rex. But the defective clones did have the chips, but they didn't affect them in the same way.
Yeah.
So, but what we're on about here is the actual clones who follow the orders straight away. So you've got Commander Cody when Obi-Wan's tracking Grievous. He sees Order 66. He doesn't even question it. He pulls up his gun, starts shooting at Obi-Wan.
That's right.
So what, in my weird little head, let's say he sees a hologram, and yeah, I don't know, because I reckon the Jedi would still have to know that order's come through.
They can't have all had their backs towards the clone troopers.
And the holograms, or surely the droids with the antenna, I can't remember what they're called, but they're like the commander droids, because they still use them. They still use droids in the clone army.
The BD units.
Yeah, surely they would say execute Order 66. Everything connected to Shiv Palpatine would broadcast Order 66.
Yes.
So I can guarantee that the Jedi, even though in the Clone Wars and in the Bad Batch animateds, you don't really see the Jedi hearing about it. They just start getting attacked and then they...
Yeah, it happens so quickly that there's no real time for them to react to the why.
Yeah.
It's just, we're now being attacked, defend and then usually, for the vast majority of them, it's too late. So some of the Jedi working on that basis must have seen this hologram appear.
Yeah.
They must then be going, right, that's weird. Why have they got a hologram here going, this is the order, and now he's attacking? If that order failed, so where should we start? Should we start with they get the order?
Yeah.
They go to attack. Should we say they go to attack first, or should we say that Commander Cody goes, "Sir, I've just had this weird message come through, but I don't understand it."
Yeah, because that would mean the chip's faulty. So
Yes.
going on the basis that the chip's faulty, surely he would go, there would be maybe 1 or 2 clones which the chips are working in.
Yes.
And he would go, secure that trooper over there. He's attacking Commander Obi-Wan. And then when Obi-Wan's finished, maybe he would find Cody, because there wouldn't be all out craziness going on, he'd be able to say, well, hold on a minute. What's happened here? Had this weird order, sir. This weird order's come in, sir. Don't know what it means. Show Obi-Wan, and he'd go, Joe, I've seen that hooded character before.
Yeah.
Because at that point, Obi-Wan has, isn't he? He's seen a hologram, and they're all wondering who it is. Like they've captured a hologram or something.
Yeah, and also Obi-Wan's aware of dark forces.
Yeah, of course he is. Because I mean,
he's
because of Dooku and stuff.
And Maul and...
Yeah, and all of that. So you would go, all right, how many clones were affected? X amount. Right, okay. Because he's also been to Kamino, and she said that they've all got inhibitor chips.
Yes.
So Obi-Wan would then have to probably lead the way, because he knows that they've got the chips. He knows that the Kaminoans did this to them. And even though... Is it at that point the Kaminoans are all gone? Because it's part of the Clone Wars. My timeline's a little bit off. Either way, Obi-Wan would have to take the charge on it. And he'd have to get the council together. Maybe he could send a galaxy-wide warning. You know, watch out. This order's been given. Don't say it to the clones. Because they'll act on impulse to damage Jedi. And yeah, you know what? Some battalions probably would still work. And they'd get the order and kill their Jedi superiors.
Yeah, possibly.
But then what happens then is they then go to their next rendezvous point and await orders. Because they're all on different planets in different campaigns.
Yeah, of course.
So the Jedi that do survive, let's say then they would probably rally to the temple, rally to Coruscant, because where else would they go? And if the order didn't go through, maybe Anakin's clones also wouldn't understand it. So who's Anakin going to storm the temple with?
Well, you'd have nobody.
He'd have nobody to storm the temple with, would he? Unless he said, "We're storming the temple. You need to obey my orders," without Order 66, because good clones always follow orders. Good soldiers always follow orders.
That's true, because the soldiers wouldn't have to necessarily follow him into every single room.
Yeah.
If he said, "Wait here," they'd wait there.
Yeah.
And he'd go and do what he needs to do, and then come back. And they'd be like, "Is everything all right, sir?" And he'd be like,
"Yeah,
let's go."
Yeah, just carry on walking. You know, you don't need to know what I'm doing in those rooms.
Yeah, we heard fighting. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
It was only me swinging my saber.
Yeah, this is it. Because the only reason why they are more willing to follow him is because of Order 66.
Yeah.
But because they're good soldiers, Anakin's own little battalion might still follow him. However, knowing from what we know from the Clone Wars, the clones do sometimes disobey orders.
Yes.
And they do have a moral compass.
Yeah.
Like, that they are good guys. Like, I feel for them if they were real. That is. Yeah. So, I think if all the Jedi went back to the temple, Obi-Wan's told them that this order's come through. Look at this hologram Cody gave me. Mace Windu's there going, that's not good, is it? Get that motherfucker. Maybe, just maybe, some of the clones would be like, right, the order's not affected us. We've detained our brother Zua as affected.
Yeah.
We're getting some droids to look at their chips now to tell us what it is. We've also sent a couple of Jedi to the Kaminoans to see what's going on. And then, yeah, Palpatine might be in his little pants quaking a bit. But he's still got time because the Jedi still don't know who issued the order.
No, he would still have time. And he probably still... His greatest trick is being able to hide in plain sight.
Yeah.
So he might not actually have to run anywhere yet.
No, he'd still be in the council offices, wouldn't he? He was the Senate offices. But maybe the Jedi would come together. Maybe then what would happen is the Jedi would band together and maybe go and help the Jedi which are locked down
Yeah.
by these defective clones. Maybe they would get reports in of Order 66 happening differently, because you've got to remember, it's not just the clones attacking Jedi. Order 66 was a, we need to wipe Jedi. This could be pirates, syndicates, Mandalorian bounty hunters. All of these people get the same order, and it is literally just, we need to wipe out the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
So maybe the Jedi would form up. Maybe they would all go into hiding, or maybe they would all fight the precedent that is Order 66 with their clones which dissipate the Order, and then they'd have a greater chance, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think
it'd be clone versus clone in some scenarios, but the clones would be able to shore up the defences that are the weakening Jedi all the time.
Yeah.
And then all they've got to do really is figure out who sent the hologram, because Obi-Wan did start, didn't he? When he went to the Kaminoans, he found out, was it I forget his name. Typical podcast on the tip of my tongue. He actually, they say that he ordered the clone army, even though it was actually Palpatine.
Yeah, it wasn't Darth Tyrannus, was it? It was.
He had a funny name.
Yeah, it was somebody else. Yeah,
but actually, it was Palpatine anyway.
Yeah,
we find out later on, because they think it's a Jedi Master, and he ordered the army for the Jedi, but it wasn't. It was all a big ploy. But yeah, I think maybe Obi-Wan would then take the stand in there. Maybe Yoda would go into hiding, because still, after all of this time, Palpatine may still come out.
Yeah, it might do.
Mace might still die. Obi-Wan might still have to go into hiding. All of the Jedi might have to go into hiding.
Well, any conflicts we've seen directly with Palpatine would probably still happen.
Yeah.
Because it was only once he was exposed as being the Sith Lord, the Sith Master, that actually we then see him fight with Mace Windu, with Yoda, etc., etc. Anakin, I think the difference here is Anakin. Would he see? Oh wait, hang on. There was something, but it wasn't right. Would it change his mind at all? Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe.
But the difference would be, ultimately, Anakin couldn't easily become Darth Vader, because he'd have such an opposing force in the remaining Jedi.
Yeah.
That he wouldn't be able to rule the galaxy in the way that he does.
And he wouldn't be able to storm the temple either and murder.
No, because there'd be Jedi everywhere.
There would be Jedi. And we've said in a previous episode, he's already crossed the line by killing the Sand People, the women and children too.
Yeah.
So killing the younglings in the temple, I know it looks more like a big thing, but like we said, he's already done children. Yeah. Killed them, I mean. But yeah, if the clones disobeyed the order and they were a bit like, no sir, we're not going in there to hurt those children.
Yeah.
Maybe if they all tried to stop him and the Jedi knew that Order 66 was happening, maybe it would force an earlier conflict between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Maybe instead of being on Mustafar hurting Padme, all the rest of it, it would just be
in Coruscant.
In Coruscant. Yeah. Maybe the clones would be like, we need to stop him, but we can't. He's a madman. He's all-powerful. And then Obi-Wan would probably try and stop him a bit earlier there, and instead of fighting over lava, they'd be fighting on speeders in the space. And maybe, the younglings would live, and then we'd get to see a different sort of age of the Jedi where there's more of them in hiding. Maybe more of them become rebels, because the order would still happen, and it's not, like I said before, it's not just the clones, it would be droids, syndicates, the Senate in general would be corrupt by then, because his great plan's been enacted. And obviously the clones are going to start to get decommissioned and stormtroopers come in. The Death Star's already thought about being built. Even before Anakin became Vader, there was already plans for this thing. So all of this has to happen, and maybe there would be a bigger resistance of Jedi hidden away. It wouldn't be like Kanan in Star Wars Rebels and then Ezra, like you got 2 Jedi there.
Yeah.
Maybe there'd be 4 or 5. Maybe Leia starts up that whole resistance, the rebels on Endor, maybe there'd be a lot more Jedi running around, and they'd be like, we'll come out of hiding for you, because, well, obviously, we're still here.
Yeah.
And maybe it would just be a little bit more, maybe they'd form up the old Jedi Knights again. And maybe they'd take up the oaths that we're seeing in the Acolyte and go, do you know what? We obviously need to be hidden away. We need to be defensive only.
Yeah, it does definitely open up options in terms of how the Jedi respond. It is, all these things are quite tricky because it's such a sliding scale, isn't it? Like how many of the clones are able to see the Order and ignore it.
Yeah.
How many succumb to it.
Yeah.
It would definitely be very interesting to see how the remaining Jedi, if a lot of them survived, how much they would come together.
This is it, because they're quite a nomadic people. When you watch the films and you obviously watch the TV series, they look really nomadic, don't they? And even in the council chambers, when Yoda's given Anakin a talking to and they're all sat around, I know they're supposed to look interested, but they don't.
No, and half of them aren't even there.
Half of them ain't there. Cloudhead's, in a bar somewhere on his hologram, getting a strip dance. Like, would they band together, or would they go, no, do you know what? I'm going back. I'm going to this planet.
Yeah.
Because, there's
It's
no
safer.
point us all being together. We might as well do this. We can't communicate either, so, because we only really know Obi-Wan's story because of Anakin. The films follow Anakin, 1, 2, and 3. We don't know how committed the other Jedi are. We don't know how sort of integrated the other Jedi are within the council.
No, that's true.
We know that Yoda obviously is quite high and Mace Windu's quite high, but we don't know how invested the others are. We don't know how they would react because we haven't got that backstory for them, But it's still quite a cool idea that, if the main force of the clones did, sort of not take the Order on board, there'd be a lot more Jedi left. And I kind of reckon, that they might go back to what we've seen in the Acolyte, a proper Order with Jedi Knights. So you're not just Master and Padawan, it's, right, we need an Order of Knights here to safeguard the realms of men. And maybe they would go off, and maybe they would go, right, everybody go to a system and see what you can find out. Because that would be the first thing you do, wouldn't it? Go and see what you can find out.
To go back to that sort of police force style, peacekeeper.
Yeah. Because they need to find out who sent the order.
Investigate and...
Because you can guarantee Obi-Wan would go to the Kaminoans.
He would have to, wouldn't he?
He would be the one who'd have to do it.
Because he knew. He was the one who found out the clone army was being built.
Yeah.
In fact, separate episode perhaps, but what if he never got to
What if he never went there? And then, the clones just showed up and nobody knew what was going on?
Yeah, but would they ever be on the Jedi side?
This is it. Maybe Palpatine could have kept him there.
Anyway, let's keep that for another episode.
Write that down, because that's actually quite a good little idea there.
So, I think the Jedi are going to struggle still, but I think they'll have a much better chance, and they will probably weed out Palpatine, but they'll be able to bring a force of 5 to 10 Jedi together to kind of bring down. Yeah,
you think the Masters would team up and be like, hold hands in the room to force barrier?
And I think in terms of Anakin, Obi-Wan would have to go and face Anakin because he's the Master, the Padawan. Yeah. They have to sort of, he would help resolve the conflict. But Obi-Wan would be foolish to go by himself, but he wouldn't have to go by himself because there's all these other Jedi.
There's loads of Jedi there, yeah.
All he needs to do is take 2 others with him.
Yeah.
And if Obi-Wan fails, he's still going to fight, but they know Anakin's going to be weakened at that point. The 2 others would be able to detain him.
They could just use their force powers to maybe break away Anakin's lightsaber from him and stuff like that.
So then I think if they could stop Anakin as a result of this, Palpatine would be a lot easier to get hold of.
Yeah.
Also, you would probably still go into hiding because you wouldn't have that sort of Darth Vader was always like a barrier.
But between the people and
Yeah,
Palpatine, yeah.
but that's going further down. Okay, so let's quickly look at the other option, which was the signal Order 66 just didn't go through
Yeah, so
at all.
Palpatine pressed the big red button.
Yeah,
Sorry, that's a bit far away. He pressed the big red button, but the transmission didn't send.
yeah.
So the entirety, let's say for example, he issued the order, execute order 66. He did that, but no droids got the order, no clones got the order,
Yeah.
no battleships got the order, all of his secret hidden bases didn't get the order. You know, the ones that are working on his clone to keep him alive forever.
Yeah.
Because Sith deal immortality, unlike the Jedi, don't really view it like that. You know, all of his other little operations going on. This is what I was saying before. So he gives out Order 66. All of his operations then get the order. And they all have a specific task based on that order. Say it never goes through. The substations, I can only assume that they don't know when it's going to come. Because maybe he talks about it. Maybe he says soon I'll issue Order 66. Because obviously when he does it, it's just random. I know there's a bit of scene and a bit of dialogue for him to then say, now's the time, execute Order 66.
He executes it when all the Jedi are out.
Yeah, they're out and about on missions, aren't they?
And all of them are you know,
Orchestrated.
balls deep in fighting.
Yeah.
So they know he knows that 99% of those Jedi are going to be looking the wrong way.
Yeah, and able to
So,
be
so,
sure.
so I think that my initial thought on this is, if it doesn't go through, the order never gets there. There's no suspicions raised. The clones continue to fight, and the Jedi survive. Does it actually help the universe?
No.
Palpatine can't become Big Daddy Palps
No.
because he hasn't got any backup.
Yeah, he hasn't got Anakin yet.
He has to still be the same way. And even when he gets Anakin, if he gets Anakin, there's only two of them. So he's no better off than he was when he had Maul.
Yeah.
Or Dooku. Like, they're still having to stay in the shadows because they haven't got a force that can overpower. The reason the stormtroopers exist when we first see them is because they are the command, like they just get into places. They go to every planet and set up a base and stop people from doing whatever against the Empire.
Yeah.
If those clones, which eventually become the stormtroopers, sort of the evolution of, never get that order come through, then Palpatine cannot have the power behind him that he needs to command the entire galaxy.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it as well, because the clones would naturally get old faster, so they'd all retire and they'd look like Rex in Rebels, you know, bearded up.
And there'll be a lot of them now because half of them won't have died.
Yeah, half of them wouldn't have died. But that's actually... Because what would happen then is, even if Palpatine had another plan up his sleeve, which we can guarantee he probably did,
Always.
but the clones would be more willing to protect the Jedi, and maybe they'd help them hide, maybe help them stay stationed. My thought is that Palpatine would still try and do something that would force the Jedi to hide. But if they, for example, say like you're saying, it didn't go through and the Jedi didn't have to hide, I think Palpatine would bide his time and think, right, if I wait another 5 years, the clones are going to age and they're going to be decommissioned. Because what Palpatine will then do is say, right, we're going to stop the Clone Wars now. I'm in charge because I'm head of the Senate. Because that's all he has to do, isn't it? He has to then stop the wars. He could say, right, we've done our best. The Jedi need to stop doing it. Because he could then paint the Jedi in a bad light and say, the Senate's asked the Jedi to stop these wars, but they're still fighting. Even though, obviously, he's told the Jedi to keep fighting. That sort of double-crossing shenanigans going on. And then obviously all of the common people would start to dislike the Jedi. Like, I can see Palpatine having a sort of failsafe in play to still make the Jedi not be good, if that makes sense.
I think that's a good idea you've got there. So creating distrust in an order that has generally protected people
Yeah.
by putting them in a situation where they can't defend themselves
Yeah.
because it's not fighting a physical enemy, it's not defeating something. It's that basically he's going to cancel the Jedi
Yeah, it's going to cancel them out. Yeah.
just by saying, "Oh yeah, they're in a war,"
Which I now don't want to happen anymore.
and but the war's over, but they're still fighting.
Yeah.
Even if it's not true, the war could be continuing.
Yeah.
But if you're on the planet over and there's no war on your current planet, you'll be going, "Oh well, why have they not stopped?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't like the Jedi now." So
Yeah.
now the Jedi have got nowhere to go
Nowhere.
because enough common people can still defeat Jedi.
Yeah, of course they can. Enough guns can still take a Jedi down.
So there's nowhere safe for Jedi.
No. And it would be the same situation, wouldn't it? They'd go into hiding.
In some ways, it might actually be a better system for Palpatine to go down, because instead of having to hunt down Jedi, which is hard,
Yeah, and cost effective. He needs resources. He's constantly using people.
he could just use the common person unwittingly
Yeah.
to stop the Jedi from hiding.
Yeah.
Bring them into one place, and then
Execute them, essentially. He wouldn't even need the clones to
he
change.
wouldn't even need to execute them, because he'd force them into a position where they cannot reveal themselves as Jedi. So therefore just rendering them useless.
Yeah, and they would just become what? Healers, random people. Look at is it Obi-Wan when he goes to work in the quarry or whatever it is in the Obi-Wan series?
Oh yeah.
You know, a bit like that. They've just become normal people.
Yeah,
and they
that's
become
it.
downtrodden. And, you know, and then, like you say, Palpatine wouldn't even have to worry about them.
And he actually wouldn't need a stormtrooper army.
No, because he could just use the clones he could use the clones as
The people would just believe. Well, say the clones die out naturally after their 5 years or however long.
yeah.
The people would believe in Palpatine in a positive way,
Yeah.
not using fear, but using loyalty and trust,
Yeah.
because they've gone, "Oh yeah, but he's right.
Yeah.
He's the one who saved us from the war,"
Yeah.
because the Jedi were behind it. Because as soon as he says the Jedi are behind it, they had to disappear into hiding.
Yeah.
The war ends anyway.
Yeah. And the clones, even though the clones want to say no, the Jedi are good, Palpatine can say you follow orders, you're going to police your sectors.
Yeah, actually, you're part of the Empire, the galactic
Yeah.
system. So you have to be
Yeah.
this. So yeah, I think actually he's missed a trick. He could have done it better and cleaner.
Yeah. Without just bloodshed.
Yeah, and have people just loyal to him and then happy to do stuff.
Because you see it all the time in films and TV, don't you, where the bad guy says, "Oh, but the good guys aren't good because they've done this," even though it's the bad guys that force their hand. You see it all the time.
Yeah,
But in a way, it's more. You get more feels for the Jedi that way as well. And when you see little series on Disney Plus, like the Lost Jedi or
yeah.
Star Wars Rebels, because they weren't just like all shot to death, you're like, you've all been mistreated to a point where I'm rooting for you more so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, because you
want to see the underdog.
Yeah,
Even-
which is what they will become instantly.
Even though the underdog in this scenario has actually got loads of power.
Yeah, but they've hidden it, haven't they?
Borderline superhero, but also not able to be.
What they need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a good one actually, because and as well, he could still orchestrate attacks on places. Look at it this way: Palpatine obviously owns the clones.
Yeah.
All he's got to do is find a battalion of them. One's, maybe change their inhibitor chips, send them off to Camino, get them jabbed with a bit of a serum or something, which is very Star Warsy. He then sprays all of their armour black or red, and he goes, "Right, you're my army number 2, and you're going to go and attack this sector." And then all the good clones are going to get told by Palpatine, funnily enough, to go and fight them. So not only is he whittling down the clones, which have a good moral compass,
Yeah.
the good ones, he's thinning the ranks of the clones, which he doesn't need anymore.
No.
And he's saying as well, I'm still good because I'm sending these clones
To protect you.
even though I've sent the bad army over there. But there's no Jedi going to help you. And if a Jedi does appear, everyone's, like you say, everyone's going to be like, oh, the Jedi is so bad. I bet it's them who brought them bad guys here.
Yeah.
Because you've just come out of hiding and, oh, God, and your powers are everywhere and Palpatine said you were bad and all sorts. Palpatine sent these guys to protect us. And then all he's got to do is use the clones as police force.
Yeah.
Every sector will have clones garrisoned on every world, and there would be a law. And then what he would do is then he would basically control every planet by saying, these are the rules, these are the laws, every planet's the same. Aliens, humans, Wookiees, flying little rats, whatever.
Yeah.
You all have to adhere to the rules, and the clones are going to keep them because they are ex-special forces by training.
Yeah.
And then he's got control twofold. And all he's done is he's gone, the Jedi are bad people. And because the normal common folk are dumb, like on this planet right now, we follow social media and go, oh yeah, this is real, even though it's not. He's done his job without even issuing an Order 66. He didn't even need the inhibitor chips in that point.
I know in terms of the films it's less dramatic.
Yeah.
But if that was a series on like HBO or whatever, it'd be some sort of like political.
It'd be some House of the Dragon shit, wouldn't it? It'd be Game of Thrones.
It would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Wolf of Wall Street meets Game of Thrones meets Galaxy Far, Far Away. Because then he could still stay hidden as the big bad emperor, and his face in the Senate would then be a man of hope, and more of the Galactic Senate, obviously bodies, like Naboo, for example, they don't like him that much, even though he's a senator from Naboo.
Yeah.
But Queen Amidala don't like him, does she? They would then probably say, oh, he's actually a good guy because he did all of this for us.
Yeah.
And now we're all good. It's a little bit oppressive because the clones are here, but we actually still get to prosper because they're all sort of hoodwinked under the illusion that he's done them a big service, when actually all he's done is manipulate every planet that he can get his hands on to do his bidding. And then if he really wants, because he owns every planet, he could just, and he's obviously got his own clone facilities and stuff like that, he's then able to use every resource from every planet. It doesn't have to be hidden. He could do whatever he wanted then. So he wouldn't, like at the end of Bad Batch, he wouldn't have to hide the fact he's trying to clone himself. It could just be a thing.
Yeah, just be what it does.
Yeah. I mean, his overall evilness wouldn't be allowed to be shown, so everyone would go, oh, Palpatine's back, he's so evil, oh my god, Dameron.
But they wouldn't need to know that he's evil, because they don't understand his plan.
Yeah. And his plan's only immortality, isn't it? He wants to be the strongest, most powerful Sith Lord and have all knowledge. And if he wants to be ruler of the Senate, he can do that for as long as he wants, without anybody having a whiff of who he is.
Yeah.
And then once he controls the galaxy, he could be like, oh, well, there's nothing really else to do now.
So, the way I look at it is, if the order was sent, I'm just going to break this down. So if the order was sent and it failed, but some of the clones reacted to it, Palpatine actually has less of a chance of succeeding.
Yes, especially when it comes to Anakin as well.
Yeah, but if the order was sent but failed to even communicate full stop, potentially he's got a chance to be even more powerful than he was before.
And funnily enough, more evil.
Legally evil.
Yeah, like it would be, he's not just a generic bad guy, he's super smart, Sherlock Holmes evil-esque.
Yeah.
Mastermind of a galaxy. Yeah.
Interesting. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think we found a good little place to wrap up there.
Yeah.
I know we could waffle on for longer.
Yeah. We'll do another episode about that other thing.
Yes.
Down the line, yeah. Definitely.
Right, well, good talking to you as always.
And you, mate.
Look after yourself.
Be good.
And if you've got any questions, listener, you thought it was going to be the end. if you've got any questions, if you would like to expand on this, or you've got some other theories about what you think might happen, please do get in touch.
Yes.
We are at WIQGDD on the Instagram.
And we are at wiqgdd@gmail.com for your email questions. Or just send us a DM on the Instagram or comment on the show notes. The Podbean link, sometimes we get a comment on there. That does also flash up for us. You can get in touch with us anyway. Please do. We love hearing from you. It's always nice to have people get in touch with their little ideas and, you know, tell us we're wrong because of this book that was released in, 2021 or whatever. Let us know, okay? It's good to hear from you.
Yes. And now, after the false exit, let's go again. Look after yourself.
Be good.
And stay out of the sand.